the times when India is at par with covering up the loopholes drawn by the pandemic, there's a lot of noise and chaos in the neighborhood. China is hit by the worst pandemic in 2 years. Afghanistan was snatched over to Taliban and making their own dictatorhood. Pakistan is under a political crisis with the resignation of Imran Khan. And Sri Lanka, who is at its worst, shattered with condolences. Rice for more than 500 rupees per kg, milk powder for 800 rupees per kg, sugar nearly for 300 rupees, electricity cuts to save fuel, low currency reserves and unprecedented economic crisis. Shocking, right? The situation is so delicate that army has been sent to manage the distribution of fuel. Not only that, but also the exams has been cancelled due to the shortage of papers. And this is what is happening in Sri Lanka right now. India's neighbor is in a drastic economic crisis and all of us hold a lesson to learn.
कि लोग घायल हुए पर प्रदर्शन जारी रहा.
Very obvious. The people are here distressed.
Give it to people who actually can do something, okay, and just leave the country because this is enough.
Gas polling, city polling, petrol polling nothing further.
An economic crisis is plaguing the island nation Sri Lanka. Last night, hundreds of protesters tried to storm the house of the president. They gathered in front of the president's house, calling for his resignation. Before we tell you more, our correspondent, in fact, was present on scene last night, and here's what she witnessed on the ground firsthand in Colombo. Take a look.
Sri Lanka now, which is facing its biggest economic crisis since its independence. After months of economic hardship, the crisis has only gone from bad to worse. Power cuts are common, fuel is too expensive, and ration lines are getting longer.
In a very simple language, the entire economic crisis is because of the wrong economy policy and the lack of foreign exchange reserves. Sri Lanka is heavily dependent on imports of its basic stuffs like food, medicine, sugar, paper, and even petrol and diesel. And now the country doesn't have the money to purchase these items and so is in a massive debt. So, making you understand the reason behind this debt. The 2019 Eastern bombings. These bombings destroyed Sri Lanka's tourism industry. And to let you know that Sri Lanka is heavily dependent on tourism to manage its economic situation. In the attacks, churches and luxury hotels were attacked, which dissolved the industry. Around 270 people lost their lives, that also included foreign nationals. According to a report, the tourism industry declined by 21% at the same time. The economic also suffered as the tourists also brought a lot of currency with them. Number 2. Bad political decisions making in December 2019. The newly elected president of Sri Lanka decreased the VAT from 15% to 8% in 2019. Sri Lanka's income declined even further. Number 3. COVID pandemic in March 2020. If the eastern bombings and attacks made the national situation bad, COVID turned it worse. Of course, the tourism declined to hold null value in the country, but now, and at the same time, country's savings took a deep hit. Number 4. May 2012. The president wanted the country to become the nation of 100% organic farming. As a result, it banned the import of agricultural chemicals and fertilizers. The country thought that this would help them to save some money, but rather was counterproductive. This ban resulted in crop failure, leading to high prices of food items. With the unplanned rise in inflation, and situation went even worse. All this resulted as in a situation that Sri Lanka had an acute shortage of foreign currency, high prices of food items, and lastly, no policy to correct any of such measures. Now, to remind you, that nation needs to pay $4 billion of debt in this year alone. The country has been borrowing since 2007. It owes $11.8 billion to sovereign bonds, $4.6 billion to Asian development banks, and over $3 billion to Japan and China. And the situation is such that the country is begging for help. IMF has suggested to surge the income tax and VAT to make the situation better. No doubt, India has also extended the helping hand. Sri Lanka recently received $1 billion as credit from India to assist keep food and fuel prices stable. In addition, India has also approved $400 credit arrangement for Sri Lanka. Indeed, that the country showed the world that what happens when politicians like them make the wrong choices. To the latest update, all the 26 cabinet have resigned. In short, the two brothers have ruined the statistics of the country. When I say brothers, I mean the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and his brother Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who is the president of the country and has not yet resigned. This is Swastika Shruti signing off, and stay tuned for more latest updates with the channel Anynews.